FA, we're currently down at awkward. FA, we're currently down at Awkward Falls. There's life and limb. Someone thinks they saw the mayor's cat licking its paw under the waterfall. It's got to stop it. I've got a brainwave. Bring the old truck out from the garage. Give it a quick cleanup. Send the recruits out on that wild goose chase while the rest of us get on with all the proper jobs. Tell it filthy, but you can tell you do your thing and make it sparkling. The mayor will never tell the difference. Thanks, pal. Yeah, sure. Let's start. I can definitely tell it's a Pennsylvania specialty. I made pulled pork sprouts with ox tongue. None of this is making me hungry, and I wasn't already hungry or anything, but geez, that makes me less hungry than I could have been. I actually want to eat breakfast now. That just, ugh. You can have my part of breakfast, Jesus. It just doesn't sound appetizing. It sounds more gross than it tastes. If I gave it to you cooked, you'd probably be fine. Same with haggis. Yeah, no, something's just wrong with you people who eat haggis. There's just, it just sounds weird. I mean, I've had it before, and just it sounds weird. Oh, Gordon, there's a woman who I now work with who's from England. We talk about, like, are you being served all the time. It's the one thing we talk about all the time. We just keep bringing up, are you being served? And, her kids will not watch Monty Python. And we've got this young kid who works with us who, like, we tell him, oh, you need to watch this show or that show because it's like, it's really good. Just refuses to, like, watch it because, oh, you know, there are better shows now. Haggis tastes somewhat similar to Yuck Sung. That doesn't help describe what haggis tastes like somehow. That makes it even more confusing. He's so wrong, they're not better shows. Okay, so we tried to talk about Invincible and like why Invincible was an interesting show, and he was just like, I don't want to watch it because it feels like it's just a ripoff of The Boys. I'm like, but the comic book is older than The Boys. He would just not hear us out. We were trying to explain why it was popular or whatever. And he's just, it's just a copy of The Boys. I don't want to watch it because of that. It's like, cool. We weren't telling you needed to. We were telling you why it was getting popular. And he just couldn't understand why it was getting popular in the first place. And we kept just trying to explain who was attached to it. He was just not having it. Eventually we got tired of trying to explain and like just gave up. British comedy's hard to do. It's very dry, but it has to be like, has to be a backbiting kind of comedy. You like, you know that there's a joke being told, and sometimes you are just the joke itself. You are the butt of the joke. Backbiting but wise. That's what it is. And it's really hard to do properly because it's easy to do backbiting, it's easy to do wise, it's hard to do both at the same time. And unfortunately, Graham Chapman's dead. He's pining for the fjords. One of my favorite, like, I know it sounds really morbid, one of my favorite bits in like music history, or in TV history, not music history, in TV history is the funeral of Graham Chapman. Just because of, like, they used this opportunity at their friend's funeral to basically lampoon on everyone because he would have wanted it that way. I think it was, I forget which one it was. I know it was Eric Idle who did one of them. But one of them looked at the camera and was like, he would be mad if I didn't. It wasn't Terry Gilliam. I forget who it was. But I know Eric Idle, I think, was the funeral, like the finale of it. Eric Idle was the finale. Who was the person at the beginning? Michael Palin? Yeah, it was Palin. At the beginning of the funeral, he's like, he's giving the eulogy and everything, and he's like, he's a scoundrel, a bastard, and I loved him, and he would be so mad at me if I didn't take this opportunity to be the first person in British history to say the word fuck at a British funeral. And then when they ended it, Eric Idle walks up and goes, my friend would be very angry at me if I was not the first person, or the second person to say fuck at a British funeral. Just the shit that they got away with, because it's like, that's the Pythons, of course. And because it's a British funeral, like, they can, because it's a funeral, like, you can't tell someone you're not allowed to say that word here. It's like telling someone they're grieving wrong. It's not something you're allowed to do. It's working class comedy too. The banter you can find in pubs and social groups is shockingly good. Yeah, as long as, like, everyone is all on the same joke. Always a weird thing to navigate. Yeah, but the BBC let them get away with it. They were. Here's a man who is known for making fun of the crown, and you're gonna tell him that his friends can't say what they want. So, Gordon, how do you feel about guns? Let's get into something not political at all. How do you feel about guns? Does your friend still have a British accent, or is it gone? I've always wondered if I've ever moved anywhere with a wildly different accent. I just pick it up. No, for the most part, you can't tell. She says it still comes out when she says certain words like mum. Like, she still says the word mum, but I think that's just a thing that she's always going to have. She's also been in the States for a really long time. And she married an American man, so... And there are certain words that I can hear because I've listened to enough British people to be like, oh yeah, you're definitely saying that like a British person. The reason why I ask how you feel about guns is one of my co-workers, well actually my former boss, as of like 2 weeks ago, checking Facebook yesterday, and I see a post from her husband, and he has shot himself in the hand. He shot himself in the hand with a pistol, completely by accident. You have not lost your Philly accent. It's still pretty strong. It's not as strong as it originally was, but yeah, you definitely still got it. Talk to my mom and then you'll talk to me. You'll see the difference. I've heard your mother talk. She's like she is so Philly. She has 100% of that accent. Well, guns are dangerous. I think people can get too kind of sloppy with handling guns, so accidents can happen. He was actually like, it got jammed and he like went to go pull the trigger, or not pull the trigger. He went to go slide the, oh god, where you chamber it. I can't think of anything. He tried to like redo the chamber, and like the gun wouldn't release, and put his hand in the wrong place, and right as he put his hand in the wrong place, he accidentally pulled the trigger at the same time, and just one thing led to another. It's stuff like those kind of stories that I'm just like, how about, I don't need to own a gun today. I'm good with that one. I love a good Scottish accent. Yeah, Scottish accents are pretty cool. Same with Irish. Don't you have like a super like, it's not a Cockney accent you have, it's a, and I'm not sure if you're a chav or not. I forget what kind of accent you have, Gordon. It's been a while since we've talked to each other. Or you have a Geordie, I bet you have a Geordie accent. I don't remember what kind of accent you have exactly. Half my family's Scottish, and if I hang out with them, I get it pretty bad. You from Birmingham? Anytime that I need to like pick up an accent from Britain, I go watch Jimmy Carr has a video of like all the different accents that are around in Britain, and he like has trigger words for each one. So it's like Peaky Blinders. That's the only Birmingham-based show I know. So I take it you weren't in the pub when England lost whatever that game was to Italy, and the Scottish crowd went wild. You mean the Euros? When we was against Italy? I believe so. I don't know what game it was. I just know like there's a video of a bunch of Irish people in a pub, and they just go like, Britain loses, and like the entire pub just goes crazy in celebration because England lost. How much football do you think I pay attention to, Gordon? Yeah, Irish still salty about Northern Ireland preferring us. I don't know if it's that they prefer you. Look, if they didn't quote unquote prefer you, you wouldn't need the Good Friday Accords to like keep them around. They're like, oh man, this other country wants to take over this other country. We can't allow that. Let's not go back into politics. God. That will get us in trouble if we go into that specific kind of politics, because the IRA is still a thing. It was more complicated than that. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit more to it than like, oh yeah, these people are a little mad about this thing. It's a thing, and then they kind of like blew up some cars about it. You know, nothing major. We talked about it. We blew up some cars, we drank some beer, we went to the pub, we played some footy. It all worked out in the end. Northern Ireland, unionists by majority of Northern Ireland, wanted to stay a part of the UK rather than unite with Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement was to stop the fighting over it. And the IRA is still a thing. That's just... It didn't really stop the fighting. It just was like, hey, let's not have this out in the open. I remember listening to a story about, like, a town where the IRA had basically taken back over, and they forced a mother whose son this son had like committed some stupid little offense, and the IRA decided to like give him whippings basically in the town square. And the mother like was trying to save her son from getting these whippings, and apparently they were pretty brutal. And they told her if she didn't like peacefully give him the, like, they would do some, I think they were gonna chop his hand off, but I'm not entirely certain. It has been a little while, and I am getting tired. Civilized people don't turn to terrorism to get their way. It's also the actions of a minority, which is why they can't get done democratically and start blowing things up. Gotta love when you gotta go like, oh man, I want this thing, but I can't exactly have it. I have time to blow some shit up. That never fails. So I gotta have Gordon come visit us. I've gotta have Alexa come visit us. What else? Anyone else? I've already got Eden coming down. I've got Rosen coming down at some point. Anyone else? You know, if we could really stop with this pandemic, it's just like really ruining my plans at this point in my life. I want my friends to come over. I'm an adult. I should have my friends be able to come over. Did you hear about the shooting in Plymouth? We should all come down and have a barbecue. Yeah? I heard about that. Didn't like 5 people, including a toddler? Maria, you want to come over to the States? You're more than welcome to come over. Didn't 5 people get shot? Maria, whenever you're ready to come over, you are more than welcome to. Don't like barbecues? I think you forget where I live. It's Texas. God, people have barbecues here all the time. It gets annoying sometimes. She's closer than you than she is to me. Wasn't one of them like a less than 10-year-old? I think like a toddler. Someone was talking about it on Reddit. handles, warning light, windshield wipers. Okay. Yeah, because those planes, like, the longer those planes are not in the air and being used, like, it's not even so much they're being damaged, it's like the maintenance costs are going up. Maintenance doesn't stop. It was a 3-year-old girl. Yeah, I remember reading about it on Reddit. There we go. I didn't even know you could legally own a gun in the UK. I didn't know that was a thing. Thought it was banned pretty much everywhere there. Hey, we're done. You know, in Japan, they're basically illegal. You're an absolute legend. It's that absolute pristine, even with rust gone. Let's just get that mayor off our backs for a while, which means we can all get back to what jobs we were paid for. Thanks, pal.